welcome back to JB Sports. It is Wednesday, so you know it's about wrestling. Today we have a special episode. Also, this is my special guest, Caleb. Uh, he's also a wrestling fan, so he knows his knowledge. And we're gonna do our awards for the year 2024 in wrestling. It's only WWE, just because I don't watch AEW that much, so I don't want to make any fans mad because I don't have the same knowledge as them. So we're just gonna keep it WWE. But the rewards we're giving out are Male Superstar of the Year, Female Superstar of the Year, Tag Team of the Year. We're going to have Faction of the Year, Male Breakout Star of the Year, Female Breakout Star of the Year, Best Debut of the Year, Best Return of the Year, Best Pay-Per-View of the Year, Best Match of the Year, Worst Match of the Year, Most Disappointing Superstar, and that will be it. To start us off, though, this will be Male Superstar of the Year. So my three choices were Cody Rhodes, just because you heard Rock say it last night. He did a lot last year. All the pay-per-view matches. You know, you started off with WrestleMania with the story. You had France with AJ Styles. He even did kind of good with Logan Paul in that one match. He did carry it, but it was surprising how good it turned out. And just a lot more matches. And then that one storyline with AJ where they did the fake retirement, I think that was crucial for him. So that's why I chose him for my one. Number two, Drew McIntyre. Really good in the WrestleMania match against Seth, where he won it, and then he did good in the cash on him. And when he did the tweet during it, where he tweeted off his account, that was funny.
That was awesome.
And then the CM Punk stuff was great. And then third, Gunther, longest reigning IC champ, ended at WrestleMania, but it was a great match. And then just the matches he's had with everyone, really. He even made a match with Dom good. So he's done really good this year, especially with the championship. So those are my three.
My three are Cody Rhodes, and I pretty much am going to piggyback off of what he said. The Rock said it. Another thing that I don't think a lot of people really think about Cody is that he is at every show working, wrestling, even when it's dark. He's always there. He's always working, and he's probably the best worker in WWE.
Always there for the business.
I also had Jey Uso, who just completely broke out with all the yeet stuff.
Yeah,
he's had a lot of great matches. That IC title victory was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And just every time he comes out, everyone's yeeting.
The entrance is great.
Yes, the entrance is wonderful. And I also had Gunther. And pretty much what he said. He started the year IC champ. He won King of the Ring, and he's now a world champion.
Yeah, he did very well, especially the match with Randy. Yeah. I like those ones.
Yes.
And I think our choice should be clear. I went with Cody. We both went with Cody as the number one pick just because he's a hard worker. He's done really well with the title off of Roman. I think he's done better. I think a lot of people just say Roman just because they're kind of Roman fanboys and fangirls.
Roman hasn't done enough work in 2024 to be considered.
And I think with the long reign, a lot of people became Roman fans and just, especially new ones, and they couldn't get off of Roman train. But he's still a very good wrestler. I will say he's still amazing. But I just think Cody has really carried this year. So that's why we went with Cody. Female Superstar of the Year. This one's kind of hard, just because my one, I watch NXT, I think, a little more than some other people. So I went with Roxanne Perez as my one because she's had some good matches. There was one with Lola Vice where she does a pop rocks. It's kind of she did it 4 times in a row, and it was insane. My number two, Io, Star of the Year as champ, lost it, but she's had some great matches. She's the leader of Damage Control. She's been pretty fun this year. And then my third is Io Sky. Well, my second is Liv, and then my third is Io. But Liv, she was champ. She took it from Rhea. Did the storyline with Dom. A lot of good stuff this year. So.
I had the same 3 people, just in different orders. At my one, I had Liv Morgan, just because she really took that top spot after Rhea left, because we all knew Rhea was the best female on Raw, at least. And to have a waning spotlight where, who are we going to shine it on? Liv stepped right up into it, and she did a really good job. At my 2, I had Io Sky. She started the year as champ, and match quality, it was just ridiculous. Her War Games, where she did a moonsault with the trash can.
Every year she levels that up.
Yes, I can't wait to see next year if that's a possibility. And at my 3, I had Roxanne Perez. I don't really watch NXT much, but
when you see her,
when I see Roxanne, I know that it's.
I think this title reign has been one of the best in women's history for NXT. So, together we decided on Liv just because she really has helped the women's division. And with Liv, I think usually like the going up to the title, her story to get it is very good, but usually the second half is stale. This time she's made it watchable and she's made it better.
I agree.
Because after beating Ronda, it was kind of just like she was kind of there. Mm-hmm. She didn't have the best matches.
Yes.
But now she actually wrestled a bit, so it was way better than usual. So we went with Liv. And going into the next one, Tag Team of the Year. Just so you know, I was going to put Motor City Machine Guns as one of mine, but I think they weren't here long enough. They were only here for 2 months, so I couldn't really put them there. But number one, DIY. I really liked it because in the first half of the year, they were pretty good wrestlers, and they were doing okay as faces. But once they turned to heel, they had a good storyline where they finally did a heel Tommaso, and they didn't just make it 1-on-1. They finally put them both as heels. So it was a little better than just having that storyline over and over again, which I'm totally fine to have on the main roster, but I think it should happen later. Mm-hmm. My number two, just because they were funny and I saw them win the championships, Miz and Truth. Sad ending, but it was a funny title reign with just Truth always getting them in bad matches and them always getting saved.
Yeah.
The one by John Cena where he saved them, amazing work. And Truth has been funny all year. And then my third, KO and Randy. They kind of helped the Bloodline when it was in kind of a smaller spot because the old Bloodline, Roman kind of wasn't back yet, and some of those guys were out. Jimmy and Jay, they weren't. Well, Jimmy wasn't. He was out because he got written out.
He got written out.
So KO and Randy kind of helped that story go through.
Yeah, I mean they really elevated the new Bloodline.
Yeah, it helped them a lot.
My tag teams are Fraxium from NXT. They're ridiculous in the ring, and
so
they just have great chemistry, and they're champions. They how many times? Two.
I think 2 times.
I think 2 times.
Something like that.
But they're still just crazy, and it's hard to even name anybody that's gonna beat them.
And just some of the, like in the ring stuff, they're so athletic, and each time you think they're gonna lose titles, and then they do something crazy.
And another thing too is like you wouldn't expect them to be a great tag team.
No,
they're not like they don't look like they're a tag team.
It's usually you put like a big guy and a smaller guy, and then together they just mesh so well. So.
But these guys are just great. At my 2, I had Bianca and Jade Cargill. And really just because I think they completely carried that women's tag division.
Yeah.
They elevated it a lot because those are 2 main event names going down the tag division.
Yeah.
And actually, for most of the year, sticking to like a true tag.
Yeah. And eventually I think they will go against each other, but they were able to make it where they still can look like a tag team, even though they both want to be top stars.
Yes. They're also pretty good in the ring. Jade a little less, but
she's a little green still, but she's getting better.
She is. But in my third, I had DIY, just because they had a great face run at the beginning of the year, all the way through. And even though we only got a couple weeks of that heel run, DIY, where they won the titles back, it was still enough to crack the top 3 for me.
Yeah, I think they've been great, but our choice is DIY. I think just something about them has just been so good, especially their win on SmackDown against the Bloodline when that first happened. That moment was just amazing, and then that ladder match they were in, that was really good.
Yes,
too. So they've had some great matches and some great stories.
Agree.
Next one, Faction. You want to start this one
off? Yeah. So I started off with the new Bloodline, not to be confused with the OG Bloodline. This I'm talking about Solo, Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, and Jacob Fatu. And it's really just because they were kind of like the dominant faction of the year that really just stayed throughout the year. And they Jacob is just insane in the ring. Jacob and Solo really carry this. Yeah. And obviously Tonga Loa is very infamous for botching.
Infamous Tonga Loa.
But I also really think we should give a shout out to Tama Tonga. How he's kind of,
he's sneaking. How good he is.
Sneaking up into the spotlight with that. He was kind of like a side character at first with Jacob and Solo and everything happening, but he's getting a lot more appreciation recently. I think it's the yeah.
Yeah,
But
They got so many catchphrases.
They do, and
I
it's
love you, Solo.
yes, but I love it. It's great.
They found a way to make them likable. Because at first, everyone just hated them just because Solo turned and like attacked Jimmy. But they found a way to get themselves in the spotlight.
Yeah.
And most of their matches aren't bad. I mean, the ladder match, like I said, that was great. Tongaloa almost falling off the ladder, but still grabs the titles. It's great. It's great.
My number 2 was the family from NXT, the D'Angelo family.
Mhm.
Tony, Stacks, Rizzo. There's another guy. I don't remember his name.
Yeah.
That's terrible. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
But you know, they've been such a consistent faction down in NXT. Tony D'Angelo, North American champion. I believe they were tag champions at one point.
Yeah, they were. Yeah,
for sure. And Rizzo is also starting to grow on me as a character, as a wrestler.
She's starting to get some good character work in there. Accent isn't the greatest.
No,
but that's what makes it good because it's funny.
And my third, I had Damage Control. Starting out the year with the whole turning on Bailey was wonderful. And even when Bailey left, and they kind of, even though they didn't really visit Bailey versus Damage Control, I feel like they still worked it out.
They did, yeah.
On Raw, and especially like towards the end of the year, where Io and Dakota Kai are getting all this love.
Yeah.
And Kairi Sane too.
She's so underrated.
She is very underrated. She's very, very good in the ring, and her character work is you wouldn't expect it, but it's really good.
Yeah.
I believe there was a time on Raw where she hit her eye or something on the announce desk, and she was just bleeding.
Yeah.
And she was just staring and smiling like all creepy. It was great. And Asuka, I don't think she was there.
She wasn't. She got hurt, I think.
She got hurt.
When she was there, she was very good.
Yeah. Yes, of course. Yep, that's it.
And for mine, I kind of put Bloodline. I think I was a mix between the two. I think I will say New Bloodline just because they had more character work and storyline throughout the year, opposed to the Bloodline where they just came back together like a 2-month span. Number 2, Damage Control. I think they're the dominant women's faction. I think the other ones kind of like they're not really the best.
PFC.
Yeah, like Pure Fusion. That one I can't really get with.
I have a feeling that the only reason they created PFC was just to help fight Damage Control.
Yeah. I never really got them coming together too much. I mean, I like Sonya. She's kind of underrated and she's got some good character work, but after Shayna lost to Becky, it's just everything went downhill.
Oh yeah.
And then the match with like I think what was it? Who'd she go against? I forgot her name.
Ronda Rousey.
Ronda Rousey. It was supposed to help her.
That fake MMA fight.
It was so bad.
It was bad.
So
shouldn't have been a thing.
No. And then the work with like the last few years, it just hasn't been there. And then Zoe Stark, I think she has potential to be good. It's just something's not clicking for her. She did some good spots in the Money in the Bank match for the women, but it's just stuff isn't clicking for her. So that's why I don't think they're the best. And then my third, I said beginning of the year, Judgment Day, just because what they did at WrestleMania, mostly like Rhea did very good, and then when she was kind of hurt, she still like showed up every so often, like made a contributions there. And then just the beginning of the year, Damian Priest, I kind of like talked about a little bit how I didn't like it so much, but I think I was just like not thinking about it well. I think it was very good. I think I underappreciated it. It was very good, his work he did. So, and then just with the Carlito stuff in the beginning, right now, the new Judgment Day, I don't like it too much. I think they should break up soon. Just get Finn. Finn needs to win a title, but we'll talk about that in a bit. But yeah, I think our choice is New Bloodline. Yeah. I think they just the character development, especially for Solo, he's getting better in the ring. His promos have been pretty banging recently, so I think New Bloodline definitely takes it.
Yes.
Male breakout star of the year.
So I started off with saying Solo Sikoa. We just got done talking about how much he has grown as a performer, not only as a wrestler but as a character. You kind of saw at the beginning of how he was trying to just be Roman Reigns and not necessarily himself.
And then the Weekend too.
and the Weekend. But once he started, like, I think he found an identity. He found himself and started playing himself rather than just trying to be Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
And that really helped him a lot.
And the storyline, I guess, is him trying to be Roman, but he's doing it in a different way.
Yes, he's doing it in a different way. And the one I always think of when he first started getting really good is when he showed up to Jay's IC title match, and he walked in, he said, "Hey, I got tickets.
Yeah.
That was when
Right.
that was when I knew
That was really good.
that
That was
Solo
really
was
good.
on the up.
Oh,
So
man. That was great.
yeah, he's at my number 1. My 2 is Bronson Reed. He kind of was a low mid carder coming into this year, and I could really not really care about him too much, but then when he started tsunamiing
the one
everyone,
with Seth, the segment where he did what was it? How many times was it? 3? It was more than
6.
6.
It was
Yeah,
6,
6.
and he was just, that really helped him a lot, and got a lot of us to care about Bronson Reed. And I mean, that tsunami off the top of the cage. In War Games, his ankles are done.
Yeah,
but
and then the one against what was it? Braun Strowman onto the car.
Onto
that
the
one
car.
was crazy. That's when he really started picking it up. That was wild.
Yes. And I mean, he's also really good on the mic.
Yeah, he's surprisingly good.
He's a good trash talker.
Surprisingly good.
You wouldn't.
His work in NXT was pretty good, but I think after he got fired, people kind of forgot about him.
Yes. Yeah. And my third, I'm gonna switch it from what I have because we just started talking about it, and I kind of really thought I had Braun Breaker, but we kind of knew he was gonna be
crazy. Yeah. So
I'm gonna kind of switch it to Damian Priest because I kind of forgot about his little Linsanity run, if you will, where he won Money in the Bank, and not many of us were too sure about him.
We really wanted it to be LA Knight.
LA Knight, but
yes. LA Knight, we didn't realize he could be good and make it without the money.
Right.
I think that was our problem.
And all these fake cash-ins, and weren't really buying Damian Priest, and then he cashed in. Wow. And what's really rare about this cash-in is that when he won the world title, he didn't elevate the world title kind of like how Seth did. Mm-hmm. Like when a superstar is given like a title, you either have the championship elevate them or they elevate the championship. That's what Gunther did with the IC title. 100%. That's why the IC title is as good as it is.
Yep.
And this was a different situation from what we've seen in the past, in recent memories at least, where the title reign really just shot Damian up.
Yeah.
And I mean, his biggest match against Gunther, when he lost, that was when I think was right at the peak. That was right when he really got good.
Even though he was kind of getting like saved sometimes with Drew, he just something about it, like if you look past that, it was really good.
Yes,
his mic work has gotten increasingly better.
I agree,
especially after the beginning of the Judgment Day with Edge. Yeah, I'm calling him Edge because that was in WWE. Not Adam Cope or whatever it is.
Cope, the rated R superstar Cope.
Yeah, but ever since then, he started slowly. He's one of those where it started off rough. You can kind of maybe see like a mid-card champ like he was, but then it shot up to being a main-card champ, like you said.
And he now is a believable world champion, a believable main eventer.
Yeah.
And
I 100% agree with that. So
mine, first one, Trick Willie. Beginning of the year, I mean, he started stepping out of the shadow of Carmelo. You saw the North American Championship, but it was like still like you say, oh, you had Carmelo better than Trick Williams. But that match, it was the day of WrestleMania, one of them, I forgot what it was, but him versus Carmelo, the match was so good, and Trick he's gotten crazy on the mic. You see him make those diss track videos.
Oh yeah,
those are amazing.
Those are great.
He's done very good in matches. He made him versus Rich Holland kind of look good.
Yeah.
So
and
he's been very good this year. He is the face of NXT, which is why you have to have someone like Oba Femi take it from him, because Oba's a believable face of it.
Right.
You can't just do anyone. So he's made it so hard to get the title off him that you have to have someone who is there at that point to take it.
And he is just so over with the crowd as well.
Whoop that trick
chance.
It's crazy.
Oh,
it's he's been amazing. My second, Solo, like you said, he's also kind of in that Trick realm where in the beginning, like you didn't really know his identity. He was just kind of that second person. Like he just saved Roman all the time. Yeah. He'd interfere matches. But then near the end, you saw him start to like kind of look at Roman and kind of be like, I kind of want to take this over. And eventually he did. So he's done very good. The development has been amazing.
Yeah.
And then my third, I did choose Braun just because he was very good on NXT. But I've said this in podcasts before where sometimes NXT stars kind of halt when they get there.
Right.
But he destroyed Ricochet, basically kicked him out when she was leaving. But he ruined Ricochet in WWE more than he already was, which was hard to do. He's had some great matches with Jay. Sheamus and him, Ludwig Kaiser, that three-way, that was amazing. So he's done really well. But we agreed on Trick Williams just because it's just crazy what he's been able to do, especially in these matches. So,
and he has gone from, I think he's had the biggest jump out of everyone for sure.
Because at first I really thought like he can be good, but I really thought he was only a mid-card title holder, and then he's just been crazy. Like you can see him winning a championship on the main roster now. So hopefully, if they know the whoop the trick though, they need to know that. Then we went to female breakout star of the year. You can start this one.
Okay. I went Liv Morgan as my one, just because she was kind of there. She was, and then she got hurt. But when she came back, she, inserted herself right into that Rhea Ripley storyline, and she just took the title, and just like with Damien, the title really elevated her character, and the stuff with Dom and the New Judgment Day has been great.
Yeah.
And I've never really seen Liv as someone like a top female.
Yeah.
But I really do now, and that's important. My two, I had Chelsea Green. She kind of was just a diva at the beginning of the year, and she really like worked her way up into becoming like the indie Chelsea Green that most diehard.
The one with Penta that match like that type.
Yes. And not to mention she's the inaugural Women's United States.
The longest reigning one.
The longest reigning one.
To this day. Longest one.
You know what? Sorry, I gotta sidetrack for a second. When she went out on SmackDown and like dressed up as Lady Liberty, it
was amazing.
That was great.
Amazing.
That was great. And then my third, I had Nia Jax. Just because nobody ever really liked Nia Jax.
No.
Because
everybody thought she was just bad. She wasn't great in the ring.
No, she wasn't great in the ring. She got a lot of people hurt, which is what sucked. And she just wasn't good on the mic. She wasn't believable on the mic. But now, like she won the Queen of the Ring. She kind of worked her way up in it. She gained respect along the way.
My respect, because I know when she was back, I'm like, really, Triple H? And then like some just clicked about her, like and then she's been doing crazy moves, like that Hurricane Rana against Bayley. Jeez. It was like, what? So,
that was wild.
In that recent match versus Naomi on SmackDown, which it was this year, but it was still crazy.
It was still really
with
good.
Hibby crashing.
That was awesome.
That's another episode to talk about.
And that was it for me.
Okay, mine, I went Chelsea Green just because, like you said, she kind of started off in that diva type role where she was just like that Karen. But some of those matches, like the Money in the Bank match, when her with Tiffy, when she fell off, she took a great spot on the tables.
Oh, yeah.
That dumpster match, she made it a real respectful match instead of like one of those diva matches you used to see with Vince. She made it better than that. Her promos where she was like at the dumpster with like the pinky on, she made that amazing. And then that match against Michin for the title, the Women's United States Championship, that finish was so good. She's made it so great. And she's helped Piper Niven. Because Piper Niven, she started good, but after that Becky match, everything started going down for her because she didn't really have a story. Right. So they've elevated each other, and then Chelsea's just brought it to a new stratosphere. She earned that title so much.
Oh, yeah, I totally agree. She earned that.
My second one, Nia, like you said, she used to be non-respected, really. But she's brought it to a different level. She's been great. She's had some great storylines this year. She's got herself way better, and the matches have been pretty good. And then third, Michin. She was good on NXT. She went to the main roster with Retribution. That was a few years ago, but everything just went down. Everything went downhill. So she's brought herself back up. When she was with AJ Styles and the brothers, she was there.
Yeah.
She wasn't really a main part. Her stuff with Jimmy was hilarious when she slapped Jimmy and stuff. That was good. But it wasn't really her own star yet. But this run as a singles champ, she really started. She deserved to make it to the finals, but Chelsea Green did deserve it more. But she's put on some great matches. Yeah, she also helped Chelsea in the dumpster match make it really good.
That's what I think about when I think of the year Michin had with that dumpster match. She really that was the match where she really broke out.
They had the tables in the dumpster. They went through that. Great match. But we agreed on Chelsea. She's just put herself in a new level. She's back to the indie Chelsea Green right now. Hopefully they do Penta versus but that'd be a funny match. But I don't think that'll happen. But hopefully she has some great matches going forward. And she has a lengthy title reign.
Maybe Chelsea versus Matt Cardona.
Oh man. Woo. Okay. Best debut of the year. First one I had Ethan Page. His run in AEW, which I've heard, I watched a little bit, but not too much, was not there. he did not get what he kind of deserved. He didn't get the stories he needed. So coming to WWE was huge. It was all over the internet, and he just started off well. This recent story work where he was like the guy who lost the Iron Survivor Series, and he was just like not there. And then who was it? Evans tried to come out and get him back up, and he just went crazy. So great stories. But the debut was amazing. My number 2, the Wyatt Six, that was going on for days about it. They had the whole thing where it's a lantern. They came in the back. Everyone's standing there. You know, so all the people made it really well in their own ways. You know, you had all the members. I'm blanking right now, but all the members made their own spot special.
Yes.
And then we thought Chad Gable was actually gone. He looked gone forever. So they did great on that.
I was a little worried. I like Chad.
I love Chad, and then third, just because it's funny, and Joe Hendry, he just made that night special. And anytime he's been in NXT, everyone's loved him. That debut was really great. Everybody wanted it to happen. They didn't know. And then right as it hit, it was a huge pop.
Huge pop. Everyone loved it. I really hope we see him at the Rumble this year.
That would be great.
That's the dream.
He got thrown out. Well, yeah, those are my 3 picks. I think all of them have done really well.
My 3 starts out with Jacob Fatu. His debut was insane. He took out, what was it?
Cody.
He took out Cody, Kevin, and Randy.
Yeah.
Pretty much all by himself.
He took out a world champ in his debut.
Yeah.
You don't get that if you're not a good superstar.
Exactly. And just the impact of his debut and the impact of him being in WWE has just been phenomenal. The way that the aura that he has,
the aura is crazy.
Is insane. And the amount of like dream matches we have yet to see. Yeah. All the little stare downs with Braun Strowman, Braun Breaker.
Yeah.
Seth Rollins, like these are going to be great matches. They're not going to happen tomorrow.
No,
but they'll happen eventually, hopefully, and we'll.
People just have to be okay with him losing. Yes. That's the one thing. He's been this character where he can kick out of anything. There has to be a point where they make him lose, where it's okay.
And I agree.
Yeah. Before these matches start, because these are dream matches, but he should not win everyone. But he should win some. They just have to get a point where he can lose and be okay with it. So.
And my 2, I had the Wyatt Six. There, enough said about that. It was just. I mean, we talk about the word aura again.
Aura.
The amount of aura that they had on Monday Night Raw.
Oh my gosh, I remember texting you. It was going crazy.
It was such a special moment. Too. For everyone.
And then just the lantern, like not only the aura, but like the emotion from Bray Wyatt, like everything just worked.
Everything just
clicked.
It clicked. My 3rd, I had Ethan Page. Pretty much what he just said. He wasn't getting used in AEW. He came over here, and my biggest thing when trying to pick the debut of the year was the impact of the person.
Yeah.
And Ethan Page, I mean, he won the NXT title. He's had some great feuds. He had the great feud with Trick Williams, and the stuff with Javon Evans and him going that is all just wonderful. And I really like Ethan Page. I can't wait to see him on the main roster.
Yeah, he's gonna be good. Especially he already talked to CM Punk that one.
Day.
So there's things getting kind of made out for that. Best return of the year. My first one, John Cena. Last year, the retirement thing, it was a return, but just the impact that had, just hearing that John Cena will be done by the end of this year. Yeah. Last year just had everybody in their emotions, and just every time you see him come back, it's just he gets the biggest pop of the night. I mean, Macaulay Culkin might have got the biggest pop of the night, but John Cena always gets the biggest pops, and he just makes everyone emotional because he always keeps talking about retirement. Which last night he needed to stop talking because he was being too humble.
I'm not gonna
win the championship, whatever. But it's just anytime he comes back, in that one where he said he was retiring, it just hit everybody in a soft spot. So my second one, The Rock, with the Cody stuff last year and everything he did. Anytime he returns, again, it's a big pop. But just the return in ring with Cody and Roman, all those things were amazing. So I really had The Rock in my second spot. And then third, I think this is the sleeper, Andrade in the Rumble. A lot of people, I think, don't give Andrade enough respect that he deserves. I think the problem is because he needs a manager. I think they need to put Zelina back with him. but he's so good in ring. He's had great matches. He's been great, but just the entrance he had during the Rumble, the aura he had, and just how big it is to see another should have been main eventer in AEW come over to WWE. It's just a big impact.
I mean, he should have been a main eventer in WWE before he left.
100%.
As well.
It's just the COVID stuff and Vince.
It sucks that it worked out like that, but he's back and he's in the mid card. So
eventually, hopefully, he can go up.
I think he will. He just, like you said, he's got to get them a voice to his character.
He's got to get a voice,
and it can't really be him just because he's got a little bit of a language boundary. But that's okay.
It's we still love you, Andrade. You'll never see this, but we still love you.
Yeah, we love you. My number one was The Rock. He, seeing The Rock in WWE at his age, at the time of like the whole Roman versus Cody stuff, him returning really like shook everything up.
Oh my god!
And there were so many options we could have had for WrestleMania, where we could have had Rock versus Roman. Oh, but we also could have had Cody versus Rock versus Roman.
Everything.
It really just shook it up.
Shook everything up.
And the match that he had, the tag team with Roman and versus Cody and Seth, that was a great match. Yeah. Unforgettable. The way that he used the corporate side of himself to tell the ref, yes. I really like the final boss character of The Rock.
Final boss is great.
And something about The Rock, like returning the first time, when he left after his return, after WrestleMania, you still felt the presence of him just because of the way that he left, where they tease like him versus Cody.
And then every pay-per-view, like, oh, it's Rock.
Is it going to be Rock?
Anytime there's a bloodline story, like, it's Rock going to come out. So he just always
he's so important to the bloodline story, and I'm glad that he was able to make time and return to become a part of it. My number two is Roman Reigns at SummerSlam. Huge pop.
Dude, it was crazy.
So meaningful. He speared the crap out of Solo.
Yeah.
And
also with that, you just didn't know when he was going to just thought the movies were going to be for like a year or two, and then he comes back.
So you didn't really know.
He must have not liked it. He knows WWE's his home, just like The Rock.
Yeah.
Come on,
man. I mean, he, also like the back half of the year after he returned, he was very involved with a lot. With Cody, the tag team match with Cody, the War Games, that was wonderful. And my number three was Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yeah, Nakamura. He got his aura back.
Oh my goodness! When he came back, I'm a huge Shinsuke fan. From the beginning, when he was in NXT, then he got called up, then he won the Royal Rumble. I'm still one of those people that think that he should have beat AJ.
He should have.
But to see him come back and like win, rather than come back and kind of just
lose, like,
have a feud, like be a stepping stone to another story. He won, and he's the United States champion, and I could not be happier.
Yeah, because he kind of had two returns last year. The first one, he's more like a comic story, which was like, it was still good, but it wasn't the same Shinsuke.
Yeah.
With this new return going after LA Knight, which everybody loves, like, you're just going after a main guy.
Right.
And it literally shifted where usually they're like hated, but they just love Shinsuke over LA Knight right now, which is so hard to do, but it's Shinsuke with his aura.
Yes.
It's literally this new character, his aura's back.
Because last year when he returned, he feuded against Seth and Cody, the two most beloved baby faces. And
kind of hard to
it's hard to like actually cheer for Shinsuke when you know there's a bigger story happen. Like when Shinsuke's kind of like a side story.
You know he wasn't gonna win it because there's the Drew story and then Cody with the bloodline. Like nothing else was gonna happen.
Exactly. Shinsuke was not gonna beat Seth because he was super hot. He wasn't gonna beat Cody because he was super hot. But he was gonna beat LA Knight because while LA Knight's one of the most over superstars on the roster, it's still very realistic for him to lose that match. And it was clean. No antics involved.
It's just when Shinsuke come out in the gear like he did, you just knew
the samurai.
You just knew LA Knight was like, he can't win that match. It's just aura. Though Shinsuke's aura is back, and he can't lose the match with that version of Shinsuke. But overall, we agreed on The Rock. It's just anytime The Rock's here, you know he's a part of the Bloodline story, and he makes this story what it is throughout the year. You always know somehow he's going to be in the story. The recent stuff with just like Roman, you know there's something about that that is going to happen. So anytime The Rock comes back, he just makes the room more not confused, but like you want to know what's going to happen next.
Yes.
So just something about The Rock come back is always big. This one we kind of struggle with a little bit choosing it, but best pay-per-view of the year, just a little bit. But first one I went was WrestleMania 40. It was a little biased just because I was there, so it's just different for me. But the atmosphere, I mean, night one was still kind of quiet, but night two with Cody winning, like that match is so big in WWE's history. Like it started a new era.
Oh yeah.
It started a whole different era with Cody becoming champ because Roman had the last 3 years. Roman's reign was still really good, but near the end, you were like, something's got to happen soon because you did not want to see him.
Sort of change.
There had to be a change. You did not want to see him take Bruno Sammartino's reign because there wasn't enough challengers anymore.
No, there wasn't.
And then every match, it was just someone would come in, alter it, and Roman would retain. So something had to change. My second one, Bad Blood. Great matches on that card. And then CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre in the cage. Insane. The toolbox, the beads, everything going on. The time they had in it. And then just the story going into it was amazing. And then my third one, Backlash France. Great matches, great main event. And then just the crowd aura. That was probably the best crowd in WWE history.
Yes, I honestly agree. And it's because WWE doesn't go to France often.
He does.
But
they don't.
That's why I think that they need to go to places they don't go to often, because then they're going to get big crowds like that, and then we're going to have great shows. That yes, this was a B tier pay-per-view PLE.
It made it,
but it elevated it to one of the best.
Because the crowd with the AJ Styles, Cody Rhodes left, the Jey Uso, probably the best entrance of the year. We didn't have that for some reason, but that was the best entrance of the year.
Yeah. My three were WrestleMania. I don't think I need to add on to any more.
There's some stinkers, but the overall matches outweighed the bad ones.
For sure. Number two, I had NXT Heatwave, and it was really highlighted by the Fatal 4-Way at the end. Shawn Spears, Devon Evans, Trick Williams, and Ethan Page. The match itself was amazing, but the finish was so good, so unique that it was
the knockout into the
it was amazing. It was unforgettable.
It was so great.
And number three, I had Bad Blood. CM Punk versus Drew should have main evented.
Yeah.
But it's okay because we got The Rock, we got Jimmy, and we had a lot of questions. And that was what we were just saying about The Rock, is we had questions when he was there. What does The Rock being here mean?
And then that's why Rock's returns always are the ones. So overall, we kind of it was a struggle because we agreed Bad Blood and Backlash France were kind of there, but WrestleMania, just the storyline at the end, the whole thing. Seth, fighting through the injury to be the shield for Owen, which was its own story, which amazing long-term storytelling. It's crazy how they're able to tie that in, but all of that was great, and we went with WrestleMania just because also Sami Zayn versus Gunther. So many good matches, and entrances were great.
Yes.
Next one, Master, would you like to go?
Yeah, I'll go. My number one was Roman versus Cody from WrestleMania 40. We just talked about it. Yeah. The match itself was so good that I feel like the ending with all the chaos that was happening with all the returns and the whole bloodline rules and tribal combat rules or whatever, it kind of distracts us from the fact of how good this match was at first. But then we get to the chaos where everyone comes out. We got to see John Cena and The Rock face to face
again
in 2024.
Right?
It was crazy. And then I feel like we all expected Stone Cold Steve Austin to come out to take on The Rock, which would have been awesome.
Oh, it would have been great, yeah.
Would have been great. But the unexpected factor of The Undertaker being there really did it for me.
Yeah, it was that
was just great. And like you said with the spot, I think probably one of the best spots of all time, and one of the ones that had the most meaning behind it. with Seth being Roman or Seth being Cody's Shield, where he had the choice to hit Cody, his opponent, or Seth with the chair, and he chose to hit Seth, and it costed him the match. It was just great.
It was perfect ending. You can't get a better ending than that for that story.
No,
because Vince had no idea how to end it, but Triple H came in. It was perfect. It was so good. It was perfect.
My number 2 was CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre at Bad Blood, the Hell in a Cell that should have main evented. Like you said, with the beads, the toolbox spot, which Drew looked. Drew had a crimson mask, and it looked awesome.
It was great.
It really added to the match. And there was the one spot where Drew went for the Claymore and landed like back first.
Oh, that was so bad.
I forgot about that.
When I saw that.
Back first into the steel steps. That hurt.
It
hurt watching it. It was bad.
I cringed when I saw that.
And then my 3 was the Fatal 4-Way at NXT Heat Wave that I just was talking about. I mean, the ending really did it for me.
My number 1, Rowan versus Cody, like the Seth stuff involved, all the people coming in, all the stuff that was happening. One thing that we kind of forgot, Jay spearing Jimmy off the ramp into the table.
That was awesome.
Insane. Everything was just clicking. Everything was great. Of course, the Seth spot where he hit him in the back, getting his revenge by costing him. Everything was just perfect. You had people crying. Like Sandy's he was crying at the end. Him. People were crying. People were cheering. Kicking it with a Ross, running around the theater they were in. It just made everybody go insane. Everybody loved it, unless you're a Roman fan, but they still liked it.
We gotta remember when the Shield music hit.
Oh my gosh.
And everyone for a very solid 5 seconds thought that Dean Ambrose was going to come out.
But it was just the mind games with Seth. Like, everything was perfect. It was just great. My number 2, Drew and Punk. Great storyline. Great match. Great theatrics. Made Drew look amazing. Made CM Punk look amazing, especially after injuries. You were kind of questioning his return a little bit, but you knew it was still CM Punk. So everything was just perfect about it. The back, where he hit his back on the steel steps. Anytime they were thrown into the cage, everything was great. So that's my number 2. And then my number 3, I think kind of a sleeper just because it was kind of the beginning of the year. Sami Zayn versus Gunther. Great match overall. The brainbuster onto the top turnbuckle. The haluva kick. The wife getting involved and stuff. Great theatrics. Great moves. And then just the whole streak of the 666 days, like on the line, being broken, and then you just knew like the Chad Gable stuff before it, helping him train for it. It was just everything was just like perfect about it. You kind of think for mid-card title, it's like one of the best switches of all time. So it was just almost everything was perfect.
Yeah, and Sammy definitely deserved
100%
Intercontinental Championship. I've seen Santi's app said that he wishes that it were Chad Gable instead of Sami Zayn. And while I can agree, I would have loved to see that, but I still think Sammy deserved it just as much.
And then the Hulk Hogan stuff with Sammy, like, come on, guys,
come on,
like we knew Braun was going to win eventually, but you had to make it better than just the first match.
So. Yeah, Sammy Hogan.
Sammy Hogan, good lord, he didn't get boost like Hulk Hogan.
No, he did not. He did.
But we agreed with Roman and Cody just because what it meant. It ushered in a new era. The match was amazing. The theatrics were amazing. Everything about it was just really, really good.
Yeah.
So,
and if you want to go from a strictly wrestling perspective, if you look at wrestling for wrestling, I can see why you would think Drew versus Punk's better. But
if you
factor in both story and match quality, I think Roman Cody gets the edge.
It was great. Okay, so next one we'll go worst match of the year. My number 1, honestly, it always takes the cake for me. Nia Jax versus Jade Cargill on SmackDown for the Queen of the Ring tournament. It was just terrible. I'm sorry. Jade is still kind of green in the match. Nia, probably one of the only bad matches for her. What wasn't really her fault. She helped it, but just the chair ending, bringing the daughter into it, like I kind of get that, but like you already did with Chad Gable with his daughter, and then it just didn't click. It was pretty bad, but thankfully Nia Jax won it.
Right.
But it just didn't sit well with people, so I didn't really like it. My number 2, Jay versus Jimmy. It wasn't a bad match wrestling-wise, but it just wasn't what you thought. I'm happy they got their dream match against each other at WrestleMania. That was something they've always wanted to do. They said it in interviews, which So happy for them. I was really excited for it. It just didn't end the way we wanted it to. Happy Jay won, but it just wasn't up to par what we thought it would end like. And then my number 3, the women's tag team Fatal 4-Way, I think was at Clash of Castle, this one, where it was just botch after botch after botch. You had Jade jump off the ropes and just slip. You had some missed moves and stuff, and some of the botches were just really bad. So I didn't really like that one too much personally, but the ending wasn't bad, but just it wasn't the best.
Yeah. My number 1 was Jay versus Jimmy as well. It wasn't like he said, it wasn't really the worst match, like as match quality or story. It was just very disappointing. I feel like we could have gotten a lot more out of it, a lot more storytelling than there was. And I think there were more super kicks than
whole year
anybody could ever count.
Yeah.
And that got annoying. And that didn't really show the versatility that the Usos,
Because
that I know the Usos
they're
have.
so good at single stars.
Yes,
like
they are.
they're so underrated.
Number 2, I had the women's war games, and I think it was mainly just because it was kind of just like a throw together, to have a women's war game.
Yeah, I think honestly you should have just ended the Final Testament. What was it? The
Final Testament Wyatt 6.
Wyatt 6. You should have just ended that there. It would have just worked better.
I agree.
I know you want to have a women's war game match too, but when it was just like you had Io feuding with Jade and Bianca a few weeks before that.
Yes, and they
the
were
women,
on the team.
You had Nia feuding with half their squad too.
Nia just got done.
Yeah, she just got done fighting
Liv
Morgan and Raquel
a month ago.
Like it just so many things were just too thrown together that it was.
It just didn't make sense.
Yeah,
and I mean there were some botches as there normally are in women's matches. Not. I mean, there was that Io with the trash can, the moonsault,
and the
Tiffy spot, but it was a little iffy
overall. After
a little iffy overall. And my 3rd, I had the Fatal 4-Way at the Royal Rumble: Randy Orton versus LA Knight versus Roman Reigns versus. Was it AJ? I don't even remember who the last member was from it.
I think it might have been.
Just because
that's how forgettable it is.
It was very forgettable.
It was just a thrown together match to kind of get it closer.
And a lot of the times with Fatal 4-Ways, it's nice to have action all the time, but there wasn't. There was a lot of dead space.
It was just trying to get it to WrestleMania.
Yeah.
I think they're just throwing stuff together. So.
Yeah, and they had to give Roman a credible win. I'm pretty sure it was AJ.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I think so. It makes sense for that time.
Yeah.
And then we chose Jay versus Jimmy just because while it wasn't a terrible match, it just had way higher expectations and it had way higher chance to be good. We know it could have been way better than it was. It wasn't terrible, but it could have been up here. It could have been one of the best matches of WrestleMania compared to one of the middle tiers. So, and then the last one, most disappointing superstar. Number 1 for me, Karrion Kross. We want the Karrion Kross of the NXT days. That can be so good. I know it was 2 years ago when Karrion Kross came back, how long it was. It was kind of a good start with Roman. He kind of looked kind of credible.
Yeah.
But ever since then, it's just been this Final Testament stuff. I'm not with it. It's funny what he does with The Miz, and he's done some great promos on just his Instagram. He does great there. But on the main roster with them, it's just not up to par. He needs to be a single superstar.
And I think that's not necessarily his fault all the time.
Oh, no.
He's just not really getting material that is that he's capable of. Well, he's capable of this material, but he could do so much better. And I don't understand why he doesn't get the spotlight that he gets.
Yeah, I don't. It's beyond me. But my second one, JD McDonough, aka what my family calls him, Lord Farquaad, because of his head. No offense, please don't hate me. He just a few years ago, I saw him on NXT versus NXT UK Worlds Collide. He had a match for one of the championships, and it was so great. It was amazing. And I knew he could be a very good superstar in the future for like a mid-card title or like the Cruiserweight title in NXT, which he fought for a few times. But this Judgment Day stuff, he had a great match with Damian Priest.
Yes.
That match was amazing. You can see how he can wrestle well. It just hasn't been there. He needs to be more of a single star for a mid-card title. So that's why I think it's been disappointing.
Mhm.
And then Finn Balor, just give him a title. Please, Lord, just give him a title. Honestly, arguably, he could have beat Seth Rollins last year, but there was a higher storyline. I think the only one who could have beat him during that title reign was Finn. But, Damian Priest had to screw it up, which no one brought up when Finn screwed Damian over. Like, no one really brought up how they screwed each other on opposite SummerSlams.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, and one was intentional, one wasn't necessarily.
But it's still, you can see where Finn's coming from. But a lot of people don't bring it up. But just give Finn a title, please. Like, please, I don't care.
He's starting to become almost like Dolph Ziggler.
Oh, my gosh. Just one more chance. Give me one more chance. I got it this time. Yeah. But those are my things.
My 3 are Karrion Kross, who, like he said, deserves a lot more. Not only deserves a lot more, is capable of these
so much more
high-octane storylines.
Even shave his head. Maybe that'll
maybe that'll do it. I don't know. I'd really like to see, although they're both heels, him versus Gunther. That's like my number 1 match that I really want to see out of him.
Gunther's kind of become like that middle right now.
Yeah,
he's kind of getting like a little bit of face because people are cheering for him. Like, people.
It's almost like how Damian was for a little bit when he was
like, because he's so good that you want to cheer for him, but like, we'll see.
Yeah. And number 2, I had Santos Escobar.
That man fell off.
He fell off the face of the earth.
And
the reason why is because Andrade came back. And what he was supposed to be was kind of I think he was supposed to fill the void that Andrade left.
Yeah.
That upper mid card guy. And it never really landed.
It's like, and you thought that Rey Mysterio spot where he turned on him was going to help, but it just really just
it just didn't.
He was so stale at that time that it just couldn't. And then like the stuff with Garza and stuff, they're just like, eh.
And I mean, I know all this happened in 23, but once he got to 24, I mean, he had the couple matches with LA Knight, but still,
they weren't bad.
They were bad.
It's just he's not at his NXT aura. He's one of those guys that got caught up to the main roster and he just can't get off. He just can't get off.
Yeah. And my 3rd, Finn Balor. Give him a title. Preferably, I would honestly like to see him win the IC title. I think he
needs a stepping stone.
Yes, he needs a stepping. He can't just go straight for the world. He needs a stepping stone, and I think the IC title, a decent reign with that.
Yeah, he can't jump like John Cena can to a main card.
No.
Give him either a like IC title or a United States if he switches.
Yeah, if he switches.
Just get him away from the New Judgment Day, please.
That too. I think the New Judgment Day just needs to be done as a whole.
It's just like,
I think everyone needs to go off and do their own things.
I think Dom, since he did that thing with Rhea last night,
I think he's gonna get in trouble.
I think he's gonna get in trouble with
he's gonna get a little bit in trouble.
I think Liv and Finn have been fighting, so they're gonna break over and stuff.
Yeah.
Carlito, he's been doing nothing. JD, pretty much the same, and all of them are just going a little farther apart. But you might think we would choose Finn just because of no titles, but we chose Karrion Kross just because we know the stardom is there. We know what he's capable of. He was insane in NXT until he got brought up, and just this year he can be great. It's just not there. So all that saying, it's just Karrion Kross, he's just not there. So those are your JB Sports wrestling winners for each of those categories. Thank you guys for watching. This has been Jonathan with
Caleb.
And hope you guys enjoyed this. Have a great rest of your day. Have a great week. Be ready for Friday. There's going to be a award show for NFL, so stay tuned for that. And bye. Subscribe.
Like.